What's up, Casey? I'm going to be showing you the code behind KC apps. Yes, indeed. Most developers don't show you exactly how the app works. Well, I'm going to show you the software I use to create applications. So, yeah, let's do this. So as you can see, this is my Radio Shack app. There's a lot going on here. You got multiple player components, which a player basically allows you to play audio when you want to play audio. Like, it's important in the code. Like, you need to have a player. Like, I have certain radio stations, or not radio, but more like MP3. There's an MP3 station here in each player, as I have MP3s uploaded here. See? And a certain button that you see. You can't see all the buttons because Kodular's like that for whatever reason, but these buttons, like, for example, button 1 or scan button or button 2 will play, like, for example, it could play player 2, if that makes any sense. So this button right here causes this player right here to play this, which is this. Hold on.
Welcome to the amazing 80s.
See what I mean? You have all these things you can drag. You have a lot of options. You can basically what you do is you drag and drop it on the screen. You can change like the orientation. Like, I have this in landscape mode rather than vertical up and down, as this looks better in landscape. So we got a player component here, which you drag and drop. I'll delete this, but see this? All of a sudden you have a player component. And if you want the audio to keep looping and have full volume, I usually type in 100 loop. And then you would add your audio file, the one that you uploaded here, and you'd be able to click whatever file you want to use. So I'm going to delete this because there's really no need for this, as we have all the right players in place. And then I have a label here. What is that? What is that? That's like the text you see here. See how this says waiting? When you click each button, it'll tell you what station you're on, which I'll show you the code in a minute. But you might also see some lines here, like arrangements. You need arrangements to move certain things across the screen. And you need spaces. Spaces can move. Say you don't want your text over here, you want it all the way over here. You'd want to use a space and a horizontal arrangement to get that in place. Now, let's show you the code, because what's great about Kodular is you don't need to learn any actual coding. You can literally use block coding here. So we have a lot going on here, and I'm going to show you all of it. Scan button. What does that do? That plays your player. It sets your label text to FM scanning or scan off. And then pressing so basically if then else, meaning if player 1 is playing, which is false. So if you press play, the audio will play. If you press it again, the audio will stop by using the same exact button. Rather, you could do another code for having 2 buttons that control that, but this is the code just for 1 button. It's same for the other ones here, except this one switches to FM 100.2. And then when you press pause, it goes 100.2 pause. I don't know why that's following. See, same with these buttons. It's all the same code. And then what we have here is a really simple code, just the power button. That means when user taps and releases the button, it closes all screens in the app and ends the application. That's how that works. And you drag and drop blocks by coming from over here. You can drag it into the workspace, and you can work from there. To get the if then else, you'd want to do this. Then you have an if then else component. And you can obviously delete that, as we don't need that right now. Moving on. Okay, so say you want to use like a camera or an audio picker, a sound component, sound recorder. You'd want to use that if you're making a speech or a sound recorder. If you want to say you want to record audio with your phone's microphone. This is a video player if you want to show like a video in your app. What is this? This basically translates words and sentences and all that good stuff. Drawing and animation, so you could actually add animations if you want. Although it's kind of hard, I will show you another app that's called KC Wondrous Aquarium, which has some good animations, which uses this component right here. Sensors, you'd want to use this if you have like accelerometer, if you want to make some acceleration kind of app. A barcode scanner, so if you want to make a barcode scanner app. A clock, which is very important in making sure your sensors run correctly and making sure things happen when you want them to and whatnot. Fingerprint, so if you have a phone with a fingerprint sensor, you're able to actually use that component, place it in here, and then you can use the fingerprint sensor in your app, if that makes any sense. And all these are so many. There's a magnetic field sensor. I use this one sometimes. If, say, you want to find electrical wires, that's the sensor you would use for that. You can use your phone's magnetometer, which is located right in here. So you're able to know if there's an electrical wire or a magnetic field or anything that would be able to detect it. If say you put that near there. Location would detect your location. I use proximity a lot. Basically detects your hand if you're doing this towards the phone. It'll detect that. And you have all these. You have this. You can literally make ads if you want. You can add in your ads to this. And it'll show, see? Advertisement. You can have all these kind of ads. Which, when my apps come to the Play Store, I don't plan on having any ads at all. The reason for this is because I feel like they don't make your apps look very good at all. It's just kind of distracting from the main interface. So sure, I'll have free apps on the Play Store, but they're not going to include ads, which I know ads, you can make more money through ads, and I understand that. It's just, it's not what I want to do in my apps. I don't want to distract the experience from you, the user. Let's move on to here. Okay. This is the KC Wondrous Aquarium. This actually, as you might see in my past videos, has actual animations in it. So I have a clownfish, as you see here. Got a power button right there. We got fish 1. I'm trying to remember it was fish 3, fish 5, fish 1, fish 2, fish 4. So these fish are able to actually move, which here's the canvas that I told you about in animations. Basically, with the canvas, you're able to. Okay, what does Kodular say? It's basically a two-dimensional touch rectangular panel, which you can do drawings or sprites can be moved and whatnot, which is important if you want an animation in your app. So you got two players because I also want to have music and an aquarium audio, which aquarium audio sounds like this. So it's basically just a looped 9-minute audio track. Player two, so I have music in the background, which does this. See? So that just plays the music. I had it so the music plays right when you open the app. I'll show you the code behind this app and how it works. But yes, you got a power button, like I said before. This one right here allows you to close the app. Now let's show you the code, shall we? We got a lot going on. Basically, we need to make a list. For certain fish, to do certain things, we need a list. So I had initialize global fish list to create empty list, which variables are very, very important in applications whenever you want to make it work well. So I have when screen one initializes, that means like when the app opens, immediately two of the players start. Which, as I said, these ones right here with two audio sources, those will immediately start playing when you open it. Then I added the fish as I have images of fish in here. It's actually just a clownfish image which I use for each fish. But anywho, you add them to a list. By adding them to a list, then you can start using them for animation. So I said for each item in list. Okay, not sure what Google's doing over there. Okay, anyways, back to the code. That was weird. We got different image sprites, which those image sprites, I have a random integer. That means they randomly bounce off the walls or whatever. And you need the number 360 and 360 and 9. At 360, like they'll turn 360, or one fish will turn 9. It kind of randomly goes from anywhere in that number, and they'll randomly switch. And I have each, this is also very important. When they reach the edge, you want them to bounce off. You don't want them to keep going. So I have something called fish one bounces off edge, set edge direction to northwest. Same with these. They all bounce. Actually, not sure why I have this here. I could probably just delete this, honestly. Okay, well, we got that deleted. And a power button, so that just stops the audio from playing. And then, same as last app, it closes all the screens and ends the application. So that's basically how this app works. Like when this button is clicked here, power button, as you saw in the code, application ends. Show you another one, shall we? The last app I'm showing you here. This is like a radio basically. It's a pro version of a radio I've made before. You have a switch here, which by clicking the switch on and off, the image of that switch changes. I added this to make it look professional and just look good. And I forgot to mention, like what I usually do is I always remove as you may notice, I don't have a status bar or a navigation bar on my applications, which to me, having those in an app, it just doesn't look as good, as I rather have a full screen display. So I remove those, and then I work on a background, right? I add it in. Then you have a full screen app. They just look better, in my personal opinion. But so you got a switch here. As you can see, height and width was adjusted accordingly. And the image, you want the image to be off, as you have two different images, one switch on, one switch off. Because right when you're touching this is a button. When you're touching it, you're switching the image on that button to mimic a switch. And then we got a weather thing here. If say you want to quickly touch this, like you'd be on your phone and you could touch that and it would open weather. Which is why you have something called Activity Starter. Activity Starter is basically open an activity or a URL. That's basically how that works. Then you got an arrow here, which transfers to some other apps in here. You've got other screens in here. Like we could go to this. See? So this is like a multi application in one. So this has like 3 apps in one. I'm not going to show you the other one because that one's basically just another version with AM and stuff. So we got a weather station here, arrow here to navigate between your apps. You got a flashlight extension. So Kodular doesn't come with a flashlight component, so I had to get an extension which allows the flashlight to work on your mobile device. That's why you might see that right there. Then you got a notifier. Why is that there? Well, that's there to tell you if your flashlight isn't available on your device. But most devices should now have a flashlight available, so you shouldn't get that notification. But hey, if for some reason it doesn't work, it'll notify you. First, let me just show you the code behind the first screen here. Okay, so this is the switch. I have it play radio audio, right? And I have it switch between the images. So the image is set to off. When you touch it, audio will start playing and it'll switch to the switch on image. I'll show you switch on. So you got switch on here, switch off. See, so when you tap the button, switches to images. And you got an arrow to navigate between the apps, which opens another screen name. As you have multiple screens in here to that app. So when you click this arrow, it will navigate to this screen. See, the other one is just another radio. And then you got weather buttons. So here's where the activity starter comes in. You want to add a URL to the activity starter. So when you click the weather button, as you see weather button, it opens to a weather station. And you need it to start activity to work. So that's basically the basics of how the KC apps work. So yeah, thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.